You're listening to the WBT Podcast with Michael Lodge. Listen to all of our podcasts at www.wbtpod.com. Stay informed. Let's get started.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
And welcome to the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. I'm so glad you've joined me this morning. So this week I decided to do some podcasts on the scams, the scammers, the people who are hoaxing you and trying to kind of educate both you and myself on these types of individuals and these kinds of companies. And let me tell you, there's a lot of companies out there that are running these pyramid schemes that get you nowhere. So we talked about that yesterday. This morning we're going to talk about kind of raising the red flags on individuals. These are kinds of individuals who, you know, they think they're the cat's meow to business. They think they are something, but really they're nothing. And you'll find them, I mean, I've been doing this since 1984, so I have run across a whole bunch of different people. And some have fooled me. I will tell you right now, I have been fooled. But I always pride myself that I'm able to read a person at the very beginning. And normally I'm right, but so it was my fault to know that even though I was right gut feeling, I went with something else. And I put money before the relationship. Remember, I'm always talking about relationships. If you're not comfortable with the relationship, you're not going to be comfortable with the deal. So those are the kind of mistakes that I have made. But when you meet people right up front, and you're going to meet these people so many times if you're operating a business that you are looking at to be successful. I don't know if you've ever been. These are people who are always talking numbers within the first 5 minutes of meeting you. In other words, when I say that, they begin to brag about how much money they've made, how much successful they've done, what they're paying for their rent, etc. The list goes on because they're bragging to you on how good they are. In actuality, most of those numbers are made up. I've seen it so many times where people have made these numbers and to make themselves look so glorified, and in fact, they haven't made anything at all. I have seen people who are trying to get you sucked into these pyramid schemes, saying, oh, you know, I've made this much money. Hey, and this guy over here has made this much money, and look what kind of car he's driving. Let me tell you, if they're talking numbers to you like that the very first 5 minutes of meeting you or discussing you, not discussing you, but in your first discussion with them, run the other way, because I'm telling you, they are telling you a bunch of nonsense, okay? It's worthless. When someone starts talking numbers 5 minutes into a conversation, you can be certain that you're dealing with inflated numbers and likely an inflated ego. So in my experience, it's often the most humble entrepreneurs who are the most successful. And if you're doing business, learn to trust your gut. You have to trust your gut. Don't look at the money. Don't get enticed by the money or the numbers or whatever they're throwing at you. But go by your gut, because I tell you, these individuals who are overinflating their numbers and they have such a big ego about themselves, they're going to get you into trouble, because they, at some point in time, I always say this, karma is a bitch. Karma comes back and gets these people because they've led so many people. When you have people that are constantly building themselves up, and if they won't, and they won't stop bragging, I tell you, they don't have anything to offer you except for a scam. People who always constantly have to build themselves up are running a scam on you. I tell you, I really like people who come into my office and they tell me about their company, and they tell me about their tax situation, and they tell me about all these different other things about how they got there and everything. But they do it in a very low-key manner. I tell you, I have been shocked so many different times by individuals who have come into my office, who have sat down, started to prepare their tax return. And as I'm looking at their tax return, I can tell automatically that they're a success. But they don't brag about it. I was really amazed. There was this 25-year-old guy who came into my office, and we were doing their tax return. And I was looking at his tax return, and I was saying, how were you this successful at this young age? And he told me his whole story. And it was a very simple story. But the way that he formed his business and the products that he decided to serve was so simple. He didn't have to brag to me about it. But he was a real success. He was a very low key. We talked about so many different things. About life, about politics, about everything. But he never bragged about his numbers. He never bragged about how he became a success. And I find that truly amazing, because that tells me that that individual was truly had something to offer to other people. And that's so very, very important. If people have to start bragging about how good they are, they have nothing to offer you. If people are bragging about the car that they're driving, they have nothing to offer you. Those individuals who are low-key and that come in and they talk no-nonsense conversations with you, those are the kind of people that you want around you. Name dropping is a big red flag to me. People are dropping names of who they know and how they know them. You know, sometimes I'll meet someone new, and within the first 20 minutes of the conversation, they are already dropping names. I hate that more than anything. I used to have a business partner that did that, and I said, stop doing that. Because it doesn't show anything good about you. It means that you're just dropping all these names who you've hung out with, and probably you've never hung out with them before. Stop it. Name dropping is a big red flag. I will walk away as fast as possible when people start dropping names. And not just dropping names, but dropping figures about how much money these people have made. I don't care. If you have a really good business, tell me about your business and leave it at that. I will make the determination whether or not if you've been a success or not. I had an individual who was selling insurance, and he was into one of these pyramid schemes. Been with the company for 5 years, 4 to 5 years. And he had nothing to show for it. He hadn't made the money that he thought he was going to make. But he kept bragging about how well he was doing. When people brag about how good that they are doing financially, they're not. It's just a common fact. They're not. They're just bragging. And then we have these people that go from 0 to 100 too fast. They come in to you and say, hey, you know what? We should start a business together or partner on a project. I've heard that so many times when people have come into my office. Hey, let's do something together. And normally what happens? You end up doing all the work and they sit on the sidelines and do nothing. I had this company come out of Mexico, and they wanted to put 2 of their companies into Asia. And I know Asia very well because I've opened up many companies there and I've done business in Asia a lot. But they wanted to put a company there. And so they told me the plan. I did all of the market research. I did everything for them. Even did the financial projections of what could be done. But they did nothing. You know, when I first started this company, I was in private practice for many, many years. And then I decided to venture up with these two individuals. They came to me. They had a mortgage company. They had a real estate company. Anyway, they came to me and they said, hey, come on, you have a really good background in finance. Why don't we go out and let's start buying companies? Because we have all these contacts. We can fund this. We have so many ties to investors. So I was really excited. So I formed a company. I went out and I found 14 companies that were ripe for purchasing. If we would have purchased these companies way back then, we would have been multi-millionaires. The only problem is, after I went out, found these 14 companies, by the way, the rest of the story is that all three of us were going to go out and find companies to purchase, okay? I came back with my 15 companies that I thought were really, really good. I had their financials. I had a full packet on them. They came back with 0. And on top of that, they were not able to find any funding for these companies that were ripe for buying. So in other words, they gave me this whole spiel about nothing that developed into nothing. I was much younger then, and I've grown so much since then, that now when people want to talk to me or want to do something with me, I usually back away and then I monitor them and I look to see exactly what they do, how hard they work at things. Do they keep their promises? When they say they're going to do something, do they actually do it? That was the best way to find out if these people were really serious about what they said they could and could not do. And I've met so many people like that since. I just ended a relationship with an individual who said he could do this and that and this and that, and he could do nothing. He was a complete failure at what he was doing in his market share. And I had to end the relationship because I fell back and I watched him and I found out that he was really doing nothing. So, have some red flags. If they're talking numbers too soon and they're bragging about their numbers, if they're bragging about themselves, if they're say that they can do things and they can't do it, walk away. Look at them for a few weeks and see how well they perform in their other tasks and duties. If you see that they're failing at what they're saying and doing, walk away. It's just as simple as that. And normally now I have this gut feeling on people when I meet them in the first few seconds. And once they start bragging about themselves, I say nothing about what I do. I say nothing about what my business is all about. I say nothing because I do not want to get involved in these scammers. These people who are telling you something that are not true. Listen, I often think that I'm really smart in business, but sometimes I feel that I'm really dumb in business. Because I hear all these people out there giving these big, huge stories and then find out that they really are not doing what they say they're doing. And this happens a lot in pyramid schemes, where they're in this multi-level marketing situation, or company I should say, and they are trying to recruit, and trying to get you in. So what is the first thing that they do is they start to brag about how well they're doing, bragging about how well other people are doing, showing off their BMWs or showing off their cars. Just by that action alone, They cannot explain their product. They cannot explain their company very well, but they can certainly explain how well they're doing when they're not really doing well at all. I was amazed. I met these guys who were like the top of their pyramid scheme, top of their company. And once I started looking at them even more, I found out that, and they were bragging about their Bentleys that they were driving, they're bragging about their Rolex watches, bragging about upgrading their houses. But what I found out after discussing is, one, they were leasing their cars, they were leasing their houses, and the Rolex that they had bought was off of eBay. It was a used Rolex. So when you see these kinds of situations, yes, they probably are bringing in cash, but they're so dumb that they never invest their cash. They just keep buying and leasing more and more. Do you know how much it costs to lease a BMW or lease a Bentley? That's a lot of buckaroos. So all that leased money that they're throwing away could have been used to invest, but they decided not to because they had to put on this big show. And it was all fake. So you walk away from those kinds of individuals and you made a good decision. Sometimes we don't make very good decisions. I know that. I remember one time I had this habit. And at the end of the day, I had this rock on my desk. And at the end of the day, I would move. And I felt that sometimes at the end of the day, I had made some really bad decisions or I had not made any decisions at all. So I take this rock and move it from one side of the desk to the other side of the desk, and I would say, I made a good decision for that day. But we can make a lot better decisions by just listening to the individuals that enter into your life, even if it's just for 5 minutes at a dinner party or a cocktail party. Listen very carefully to what people are saying. See what they're doing. And if they are not doing and saying and not keeping up to the promises that they have said that they can do, here we go. Walk the other way. Anyway, this is Mike Lodge for the WBT. We're going to be talking more and more about scams and pyramid schemes and everything else throughout this week. If you have any questions, send me an email at mlodge@lodge-co.com, and I will answer any question that you may have or respond to any comment that you may have. Again, this is Mike Lodge for the WBT. I will talk with you very, very soon.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.